Que peso, mis compadres. My name is Ringo, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a different type of video because something came out recently that I'm quite passionate about. You see, if you don't know, HBO Max has released The Last of Us show a couple days ago from what I'm recording. Yesterday, I finally watched it. Me personally, I went into it not with that much expectation because game TV shows tend to be not that great.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Even movies tend to be worse. However, I really love The Last of Us, so I came in with an open mind. But then they released that trailer.
She so much as twitches.
Me personally, I think the actor for Joel is pretty decent. I know he acts good, and I'd say he looks at least half of what Joel looks like in the game. But the actor for Ellie, you've seen her and you played the game, you have possibly the same opinion as I do. And that's but it wasn't super important. I was excited when it was announced, and I'm still excited even before I watched it. So this video is really my thoughts on the first episode, opinions, seeing how it's gonna go, how well does it relate to the actual game, and I'll say right now, I was super surprised about how much source they actually took from the game. As we'll see right now, I'll show you some moments where they basically took the exact thing from the game, and that made me super happy. But we'll get into that. So when I watched it, I actually had a two-sided opinion about the show. Obviously, me being a super hardcore, not that hardcore, but I really like the game a lot. And I've played it multiple times. I've also played it last month for like the sixth time. So I'm super refreshed on how it was. I even have a poster of it. I mean, you can't see it, but it's over there. And I watched it with my friend, but he's never played the game, so he's not into the lore like I am. So I had those two sides while watching it. Anyway, let's start off. So the show actually starts off with some random scene about some fucking scientist doctor, I don't fucking know, and he's in like a seminar, film, something, TV show, talk show, morning show, I don't fucking know. He talks about, oh, by the way, we found a fungal infection. We're gonna call it corona, and then but it's fine. It's not gonna do much. It's fine. It's not like it's deadly or anything. And then bam, we are in a 3 year pandemic. So yeah, basically he just talks about the virus, but he talks about the possibility that it could become dangerous if say it were to get hot or something,
The
global warming.
planet's on fucking fire.
It's a slow start to the show, but I understand why it's there for people that have never played the game or heard the game. Just going into it as a show, you might want some context. That's what shows do. They give you context, background, knowledge on what it's about. The game doesn't do that until after the prologue.
The number of confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
There are hundreds and hundreds of bodies lining the streets.
Panic spread worldwide after a leaked report from the World Health Organization showed that the latest vaccination tests have failed.
So after that, it actually starts in the beginning of the day. Now the game starts at night, but in the TV show, it's about what happens during the day before the night part where the game actually starts. So it's kind of like a before, but the same day as the game. You know what I mean? Also, by the way, I probably should have said this before. Big spoilers about the TV show and the video game are gonna take place. So if you don't want to know that, just don't watch this video. Just kidding. Please still watch it. Like, comment, anything. It helps the channel. So it starts off with Joel's daughter, who in the show is a different race. I can't believe it. I'm so outraged. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. Okay. Please don't come after me. So yeah, in the TV show, Joel's daughter is she's definitely not white, which she is in the game because they're in the game they're like Southern folk. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like they're portrayed as being like Southern. It feels like they're more in like a suburban community. You know what I mean? Like outside of LA or something. Later into it, you do see that they are actually in like country esque because there's a farm, and it kind of follows through her perspective because in the game in the beginning you do play as her. I don't actually like the fact that they started it in the daytime. I wish they started it at nighttime because I think it would have had more of a punch in like intensity. But in the TV show, you have a little like 20-minute thing where it's her, whatever she did in the fucking day. She goes to school, buys the watch, goes to the neighbors, and then comes back home. And during all of that day shit, they give you context clues on the fact that like a virus is spreading. People are becoming wild, military, and a lot of police are going through the streets. They gave you context clues that things are about to pop off. Now, while Joel's daughter, I forgot her name, Sarah, that's her name. Wow, fucking fake fan, am I right? God damn it, he's not super southern. Sarah in the game has like a fucking southern accent, you could tell, but in the show, it's not really there.
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs. Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
But I digress. After all that, we finally get into the night, which is where sorry, my bad. So finally, we're in line where the game starts, and we can actually compare, contrast, see what's popping. Now, the first thing, easy to notice, is that when Sarah gives the watch to Joel in the TV show, they actually use a lot of basically the exact same conversation that she has in the game. Joel does a little joke where he says the watch, he's like, I think it's broken.
Honey, it's
What?
nice, but I think it's stuck. It's not.
What? No. Oh, ha ha.
Did you?
What?
I don't hear anything.
Even the next line where he says, where'd you get the money for this? She's like, I sell drugs, hardcore drugs, is what she says in the game and in the TV show. I can tell that they are directly using source straight from the game, which actually gets me super excited already in the beginning about how the TV show is going to end up going on. But even the cuts where Sarah and Joel are watching the movie in the game and in the TV show are basically the same. It goes from them watching a movie to Sarah being asleep and Joel taking her and putting her in bed. Obviously, they're different camera angles, but the cuts, they're the same. You could tell they're using the source. Now, in the TV show, after that scene, Sarah gets woken up by basically a fucking explosion. But in the game, Sarah gets woken up by the phone next to her bed. Uncle Tommy is the person who's on the phone. And he's like, Sarah, where's your dad? Yada, yada, yada. Now, this part of the show deviates from the game for a little bit, which while I was watching it, I was actually quite sad that it didn't have the same situation as it did in the game. In the game, Sarah goes searching for her dad, and she walks through her house, and eventually Joel comes through the backyard door with like blood on him. Zombie, who is their neighbor, fucking bum rushes the door. Joel gets a gun. The zombie breaks through the glass door, and he fucking shoots him. And then Sarah's like, what's going on, Dad? And then they leave with Tommy in the truck. However, the show, Sarah goes around the house searching for her dad. And then there's a dog at the front door, which is their neighbor's dog. Goes to the neighbor's house to check on them or something. You see blood on the floor. Booga booga, the husband, the man, he's on his deathbed. He's like, looks to the right, looks down, boom, it's the fucking grandma. She's eating the wife. She's a zombie. The fucking grandma gets up, is like, boo, cuz. And she's like, oh, bitch. She fucking runs out of there. The way they had the zombies like run in motion, it feels like World War Z more than The Last of Us. The Last of Us, the zombies are kind of, they're smart enough to like dodge like obstacles and shit to get to the food. But in the show, they're like World War Z, where they just fucking run and like any obstacle they don't give a fuck about, they just topple over and keep on going. But zombie's a zombie, who gives a fuck? The zombie comes running at him, and then he fucking ooga boogas the fucking zombie grandma straight in the fucking face with a wrench. And then they get in the truck. Now when they're in the truck, the camera angle when they get into the truck is actually very similar to the camera angle in the game. And I just know these things when I'm watching it. I was like, oh, that's basically the exact same camera angle. While they're in the truck, actually, they have the same exact situation and conversation where they see people on the road.
What do you think you're doing? Keep driving. I got a kid, Joe. So do we.
But we have room.
Keep driving, Tommy. What are you doing? Got a kid, Joe. So do we. Keep driving.
We can put you in the bag.
That whole truck scene is basically ripped straight from the fucking game. Even passing through like a house, a farmhouse that's on fire. That scene is also showed in the TV show.
It's Jimmy's place. That's Lewis's farm.
They didn't fucking compromise to like cut it out or anything. They actually put it in a 5-second scene in the game that it really doesn't impact the game in any like major way. Decided to put that in the TV show just to stick to the source material. So we get into the scene where they're trying to cut through people through a town to get, out of the city. Skip through most of it. Now in the show, plane crashes and a wheel like comes off of it and hits their car. At least that's what it looks like. It's quite fast, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens in the game. They got out of the crowd and they're driving forward, and a random car just comes straight onto the side of them, and that's how they turn over in the game. But I think it would have been cool because in the game, once you get out of the crowd, there's a sense they give a little bit of hope that you're gonna make it out, only to get hit by a random car. The TV show, they wanted a little bit more fast pace. That's cool, and it was a good scene. I can't lie, but it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. What are you gonna do? In the TV show, they actually get separated from Tommy immediately after getting out of the car. In the game, that doesn't happen. You're with Tommy until like the final scene, so that it speeds past that part real fast, but you don't really want to stay on the prologue so long, right? Now this next scene, big spoiler, the TV show is super close to the actual game. Basically, as he runs away from the zombies, a military person shoots the zombie behind him. They're basically the exact same scene, verbatim for the most part. Even the words they say are the same. The only difference is kind of the emotion behind the words. The military man says, stop, and then stop right there. That's verbatim of the game.
Don't move. My daughter's hurt. Her ankle. Stop right there. Hey, we need help. Stop. Please. It's my daughter. I think her leg is broken. Stop right there.
And he says, we're not sick, which is what Joel says in the game. But the way they say it are different things. The way they say it are in a different tone, which is nitpicky, but it's just a little something. I'm just saying. Feels like in the game, Joel has more of a scared emotion when he says we're not sick. You can kind of compare it. I'll show a little comparison.
Easy now. We're not sick. We're not sick.
See, in the game, it feels like there's more emotion to him being scared. And in the TV show, it feels more like him being more panicky. Obviously, that's a nitpick. That's just me. That doesn't take anything away from this scene. It's simply a nitpick. It's still a great scene. The next scene is, of course, where the soldier gets orders to, no Russian.
I got 2 civilians by the river, one of them injured.
What about Uncle Tommy?
We're gonna get you somewhere safe first. Then we'll go back for him, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got a couple of civilians in the outer perimeter. Please advise.
Daddy, what about Uncle Tommy?
We're gonna get you to safety and go back for him, okay?
Sir, there's a little girl. But... Yes, sir.
He shoots at Joel and Sarah. The conversations are basically still the same, even when Joel's on the ground and he says, please don't. He says that in the TV show too.
Please don't. Please don't.
In the TV show, the soldier does say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I feel like they try to humanize the military in some way, when in the game, the military are more like stone cold, and they don't care about the actual people they're protecting. Soldier gets shot by Tommy, who comes back. Also, by the way, the entire time Tommy has in the TV show a rifle, but in the game he actually has a pistol. I'm not faulting it, I'm just pointing it out. Hi, it's Future Ringo here. This is the end of the video. Why? Because I'm editing in that shit and I want to kill myself. I decided to cut it only the prologue because it's gonna be like a 30-minute video. Otherwise, I don't want it to be that long. But the second part will eventually come out, so wait for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Anything helps the channel. It really does. It's been your main man Ringo, and I'll see you guys in part 2 of a better video. Bye.
God,
My eyes, they can't take it no more. Why am I so close to my fucking monitor? What's wrong with me? Shit, I don't know.